tell me your name again?
I'm Carla.
Carla.
I'm the deputy city recorder.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
With the C or K?
With the C.
Okay.
She's got 31 years now?
20. You're
But the thing about Orcas is that the ferry is, the first ferry to pull off is from Orcas Island to be the spare. And so in the winter, they call it Orcas Grass. It's $80 and then it's hard to find a ferry. Get out of the island and stuff, but it's pretty well, you know, they've got fiber optics and
I've been out there, yeah.
it's
Been
pretty
all over
nice.
the island and kayaks and did some crossings.
5,000 people, but the Friday Harbor is a bigger town, but
It's charming, though, it's very charming.
I love
She
life.
plans to be there.
well, she's gonna be, this is after her residency next August, so she's 30-year residency in Port Angeles, and then she looked for a permanent position.
What is it she does?
She's a doctor.
Doctor, okay, yeah. Well, they would love to have her, yeah.
Well, they hire early to get, because they have trouble getting people in rural medicine, so.
I bet
some
they do.
come in. And they give a salary differential for the cost of living, because it's 50% higher up there than 60% higher up there than, you know, average national average. So everything's imported.
Is the Rosario still there and open? I know they were refurbishing.
The Rosario, that was on the north end of the island, wasn't it?
Right, northeast?
Northeast corner.
Yeah.
We are ready to
Still
start
there.
this meeting if you guys are ready.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Work. So hit your microphone button to make sure that light's green, so that the recorder. So as my job as convening chair is to call the meeting to order and conduct the election. And that's the first item on the agenda. So we've got, everybody's here. So we have a quorum and we'll call the meeting to order. And our first item of business is the vice chair, our chair and vice chair. And so nominations are open.
I nominate Scott as the chair.
Absolutely.
I think we can do that by acclamation.
Oh, does he need to make a motion in there?
You did.
Yeah, I made a motion.
She seconded it.
Yes, a second.
And since I don't have the authority to overrule them or outvote them even,
And you're willing to accept it?
yes, I'm willing to accept the position. So vice chair.
I nominate Paul. You guys have more experience.
We'll give you work to do. It's not a problem.
That's fun. I like
Paul, you
work.
okay with that?
Yeah.
I'll second the nomination. We'll do that by acclamation as well. So, you know a lot of people outside of Louisville town.
Scott, you want to
No, I
grab
handful.
the gavel so that we can adjourn the meeting at the end? Thank you.
So then I get to sit in this chair next time?
Yeah, or now if you want.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I would suggest that, I know we've had, there's been HOA representatives on the emergency preparedness group or whatever, that have attended a lot of meetings, and I think we might want to try to reach out to them to see if they can drum up a volunteer from their respective HOAs. View of the, whatever it is, and,
Are you talking about the other HOAs in our area?
yeah,
Yes.
because I know there's been two ladies that have been very active, it seems like, on the emergency preparedness group. And maybe they can, garner up a volunteer or two,
Yeah, we only need two.
you know. But, and plus that would represent the north end of Depoe Bay. So- But I don't know them personally, I mean, I'm guessing Kim or somebody has their contact information,
Yes,
so,
we'll provide that to whomever wants to.
Yeah, maybe Stonebridge can contribute somebody,
I'm sorry.
maybe Stonebridge can contribute somebody.
Well, I believe the two people that he's speaking of, one would be coming from Stonebridge, the
Right.
other was from Blue of the Bay.
Okay.
yeah, those are the two that I recognize from several meetings.
Yeah.
And do we have anybody from Depot Hills? Are there any residents up there yet?
I'm not aware of many full-time residents, I'm more aware of second home ownership up there right now.
Oh, okay.
Do they have an HOA as well?
Yes, they will.
They will, I think right now it's still in the developers, but I know they were going to be hosting a unit owner of HOA meeting at our community hall fairly soon, if they haven't already.
Okay.
So that would be the other major HOA in town, and then if we could find somebody, you know, because most of the residents here that aren't in an HOA,
What about the Depoe Hills, are they in HOA?
yeah, that's Depot Hills.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what they're talking about,
The Depoe Hills?
they need to form.
I don't know that they've yet turned it over to the homeowners because of
They probably won't,
Amount of
there's only like
ownership
10 lots up
there.
there that are built on.
and a lot of them are not full-time residents, which is a requirement in your ordinance
Yeah.
membership at this time, unless you
No,
see that
we
to be changed.
only need 5 people, so I think it's cheap, 5 residents. I mean, the HOAs are great for groups to contact, otherwise you.
Yeah, it's a
put
great
out-
way to get the word out to multiple people for sure.
Yeah.
If they can send out a notice even, through their HOA.
Do we have any correspondence that we need to deal with? We gotta get a hold of that and get construction schedule, but other than that.
Kim has not provided me with
Okay.
anything to provide to you today.
So no changes, no correspondence, no minutes to approve, no unfinished business yet. So, new business. So the latest word I got is from Oregon Department of Energy is that they're gonna open the application process on August 11th. And then they also
So
said
they
they
pushed it back,
Huh?
it was July. I thought.
Yeah, they had a problem.
Oh,
And I didn't say what it was, but they've also extended the deadline for application by 6 weeks. So that puts it into October. This is the second to the last round, so there'll only be this round and one other. So we actually have some time to fill out the construction application for the city hall. But we could also create an application for the community center using the same engineering if we wanted to. That one, there's some interesting possibilities there because that one doesn't have to have the generation capability built into it. That one could be just the fuel cell, the fuel supply.
well, and then we've identified several facilities here in Depot Bay that can benefit from this, obviously. And, we also have heard in the past from the state that, they haven't awarded all the funds they have because people don't read the application, they're ineligible, whatever the case may be. So I would suggest that we submit 2 planning grants at the $1 million level, and let's figure out how many facilities we can get covered by the hydrogen fuel cells with a generation capability for the city. And then they would supply the hydrogen to the other facilities. And we've got nothing to lose by submitting 2. And obviously the city hall is the primary one because that's what we've been working on in phase 1. But when, I sat in on the briefing from the state and that specific question came up, could you submit more than 1 grant? The answer was yes. So I think we need to convey that to Kim and Aptum and whoever else is working on the proposal. That we really wanna see 2 grants going in. And let's work on the design is there. So it's just a matter of scaling it to the different facilities we have. And let's figure out, you know, how much copycat hydrogen fuel cell configurations would be for the other facilities here. And then make sure that the city hall and the generation capability is sized accordingly so that we could support these other facilities.
Okay.
So when you're saying generation capability, you mean an electrolyzer?
Yeah, the electrolyzer, so the city can actually generate
Like their
hydrogen
own hydrogen, and then supply the other.
for all the facilities.
Now, so other than community hall, there are the water treatment plant, which uses a ton of power. And is in the process, they're gonna redesign that, refurb that here soon. There's money being set aside for that. And my suggestion there is that they build hydrogen fuel cell into that design so that we don't have to have special grants to do that, it's just part of the design. And they thought that was great, thought that was a pretty good idea, so we're gonna look at that. I'd also suggested the Depoe Hills when they put in there, and the low-income housing folks over here, because they were gonna supply backup power using solar power. And I said, well, think about hydrogen and whether you generate your own hydrogen or not. I mean, up there, they've got a perfect site because it's windy all the time. So wind power and wave power probably are 2 most reliable sources for generating hydrogen. And it's about 40 kilowatts per house. Would generate enough power, but running 24 hours a day at 20% effective capacity will generate enough hydrogen to power a house. Actually more than enough. It's about 1,700 kilowatts. Or yeah, 1,700 kilowatt hours, which is a good size house. So if you multiply the number of buildings you want times 40, that gives you some idea of what the hydrogen capacity is. This one here, I don't remember what they have in the drawing, but I was gonna use that electrolyzer solar power capacity for a sizing guide. Because it's actually less than what I come up with using the straight constants. The 2 constants that matter are 50 kilowatt hours per kilogram of hydrogen and 70 grams of hydrogen per kilowatt hour on the other side. So it's about a 3.5 times difference. But since the electric, we're using free electricity.
Right. You think wave is better to generate hydrogen versus solar?
Well, yeah, because hydrogen is easier to store.
Right.
So you can generate hydrogen 24 hours a day, and you have a series of tanks, and you just pull the tanks off when they get full. And if you need more tanks, you just supply more tanks, and you have more spare capacity. But a tank full of hydrogen, a 5 kilogram tank is 7 feet tall, according to that.
But I mean, to set up for wave generation versus solar generation, which is cost effective, do you think?
Cost effective, I think solar and wind are the 2 cost effective. Wind probably, because we have more wind power, and the turbines, 20 kilowatt turbine on a chimney that looks like a chimney top, they're around $6,000 to $10,000 retail. 10 kilowatt run 1,500 to 2,000.
So you like wind and solar or wind and wave?
Wind and solar, wave is okay. The problem with wave is where to put it.
Okay. Because you can tell me wind and wave, so I should change it to wind and solar, you think is better?
I think wave is more reliable.
Oh.
But the problem is putting a wave generator where people aren't gonna complain about it.
Right.
I think Little Depoe can generate plenty of wave power by shoving it off the base of the cliff over there down below where people can't see it. Cause the little paddles, cause you get 40 kilowatts per meter of wave power, so a 1 meter wide paddle will generate enough power for 1 house, so you just multiply that times, and you can have them all along the base of that cliff down there, around the corners, and nobody would see them.
Or the big ones, the megawatt jobs out, that they're putting out off of Beverly Beach.
What do they call the one where it comes down the hill and then,
That's hydro,
yeah,
and we can do that too.
right.
So one of the things we could do to, what if we all of a sudden found an old water wheel up there on the creek? And instead of having a stone grinder inside, it's got a generator in it. It doesn't have to look modern, it can just be, old, and it can just be a water wheel in the creek. And the other thing was, there was a group of college students, I saw this on television, a group of college students in Japan that had designed and built in-water generators that were basically the bits off of an auger drill, the handheld auger drills for drilling post holes, in a rack that you shoved in the water that was stuck to a generator that as the current went down, the auger turned the generator. And depending on the speed of the current, that tells you how fast the water is, but that just sits and only one moving part, all you need is a waterproof motor, and any motor could be a generator, so that's a simple thing, and the rack itself
Yeah,
was just,
I kinda like that hydro idea too.
and it was standard auger bit. That's what it looked like, because that's how they sized the rack, so there's lots of things we could do, so hydro we could use,
Look, I mean, those are all good topics for future study, but let's go back to this one grant that we know is coming up.
Right.
So,
Is it your understanding that this committee has any review role or anything on that grant, phase 2 grant, or?
I think it's our job to write the application. Or work with Kim to write the application. Or whoever would write the application.
And I would assume that applying, I think right now there's just been a lot of talk to the council that it's just been one grant, one facility grant, if you will, construction. So I would assume you'd wanna go back to city council and discuss your
We'd have to get
thoughts
authorization for a
on,
second.
going beyond just that city hall construction grant. if you will.
So the second grant could be for a fuel cell at the community center size to fit. And then a potential expansion of generating capacity here or there, depending on where the best wind is. The one that's in the proposal from Aptum is solar.
I thought it was solar and wind.
I don't remember.
Solar's a little sketchy here.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we've enjoyed a few days of sun, but all last week was fog, and that's not gonna work, so I thought it was wind with a solar adjunct or however you wanna put it, but maybe I'm just.
And the nice thing about it, the wind study is it's only calm 16% of the time, so you only need 2.5 knots to generate anything, so.
So when the sun does shine, we're generating hydrogen and then storing it.
Yeah.
So
So
we
we'd have
have
a,
two sources at least.
so we'd have a storage facility, probably a second container, I would think.
But I'm just trying to understand the role of this advisory group committee versus what Acton is doing for the phase 2.
Aptum is,
And what the linkage is.
okay, so the simple explanation is that Aptum's the engineers, and they'll do the detail engineering work. We are the group that decides what should be done and recommends decisions to the city council who will actually approve it and then provide any funding if necessary. So, the city council is not gonna do anything without our input. And it's up to us to figure out what we wanna do as a city.
So do we have to work
Recommend
with Acton to get the grant? Or does
that.
Depoe?
Yes.
Or does-
On specific projects, and frankly, when things start getting built, they'll either have somebody here or we'll send somebody out, a contract with somebody local to actually build it.
So who needs to check with Acton as to where we're at on this?
Well, they haven't
What
started
comes-
the main
What
water
comes
grant yet.
first, the talking to city council or
So,
talking?
yeah, and I'm trying not to step on Kim's toes if she's doing something. But I'm just trying to figure out where we fit into the equation. And I'm happy for the committee to take it over and then coordinate with Kim and the city council, or we can step back and just be an advisory role,
Right.
but we just need some definitive.
As I recall, the first application for the grant funding, it was prepared by the ad hoc committee, if you want to call it.
Right.
And then it came to Kim, she reviewed it, I think she might have sent it off even to our grant writers, and together they may have made some tweaks to that, if you will, and then it was submitted.
Okay. Because, I mean, we're certainly willing to do that for the second phase grant. I agree, we need to come back to city council and just tell them the idea that we might be submitting
Yeah.
one grant.
Yeah, I think that you would wanna do that.
Um,
The next city council meeting though is
August 13th.
Third, second.
August 13th.
Third, August 13th.
Or is 19th, I'm sorry. 18th,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
19th is Tuesday.
Yeah, there's not gonna be one the first meeting in August because of National Night Out, so they won't be meeting anything, but I could certainly put that to Kim that you'd like to be on the agenda to
So
make
it's
a
August 19th.
presentation. Yeah.
So the only thing we talked about on the agenda to city council will be the authorization to apply for a second grant.
For multiple grants. if you
Right,
will.
and we can get started on the first grant before that.
Yeah, that one, I think that's already
Yeah.
been.
The only issue would be if it costs anything, if we have to put any money up front to get that to work on it, but we don't know that. We didn't have to last time.
You know, that I don't know. I don't believe I saw the agreement with that.
They actually did quite a bit of work on the grant
I would
application.
imagine there would be, if we have something currently in existence, there would be a change or amendment to that original agreement.
Worst case, we use what they did, reuse it. So, the only thing we don't have from them in the preliminary packet that we did for the last grant is the schedule, construction schedule, by, layout by day, what has to happen in order to get it done. And then there's gonna be some site reading or some stuff like that, so I'll have to talk to Paul and see what they want to do about that. So we start new grant, we'll work on that. And we'll do most of that here as a group. We can't talk about it outside of the meeting because of open meeting laws, so if we can work on it individually. But any kind of gathering on this topic has to be in a meeting. And we can call them meetings. But our normal meeting is the fourth Monday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So our next one will be the end of August. And I should have more information from Afton, because I'm gonna call them anyway. I'm getting a little impatient about
I
getting
think
fuel
that's
cell
what
for
we
my
need.
house.
I think that's what we need, is to know where we're.
Yeah, I'll talk to them. So in the second grant, let's formalize what we're gonna ask for that. City, community center, fuel cell, and then a separate or expanded generation facility to supply.
Yeah, depending on how big the one is for the city hall that they're planning on now.
Yeah,
We may look at a second generation capability with higher.
the other thing is, since we're only using the hydrogen fuel cell for backup power for now, that one generation station continues to be operating, given our propensity to only have power outages in January, might be sufficient.
Well, again, that's something we've got to look at to see how much we could generate
I'll look at
storage
that.
we would have. Because if we don't need more generation, then we do more facilities. We start looking at the list that Joe and others have put together. Maybe we do the water system, maybe we don't, but there were at least a half a dozen other facilities that were on that list.
Yeah, we'll look at that, because the fire district is self-funded, so it wouldn't be use our grant money, it would be only city-owned facilities, city hall, community center, water plant, sewage treatment plant, wastewater, which is, and then, the pumping station in Otter Rock, at that cistern.
At Rocky Creek,
Is it Rocky Creek? That is either separate or included in the water treatment plant plan. So that would give generation stations both south and water generation, both south and north of the bridge. And that would be another goal.
Is that a city-owned property?
So we need to talk to Stonebridge and Depot Hills, so let's contact the emergency preparedness committee chair and get some, see if they want to contribute somebody.
what's her name? The town that's in charge of that.
Joyce King is
Joyce.
the chair, if you're looking for the context, specific to
And Randy
those
is on that.
HOAs, we can certainly give you that information.
Yeah, if you could send that out, would you mind calling them, Joanne?
Calling Randy or Joyce?
Calling the two HOA.
Oh, yeah, no, I can call them for sure. Stonebridge and View of the Bay.
Because Joyce is at Stonebridge, so she would know somebody there too.
Mhm.
No, Joyce doesn't live in Stonebridge, Karen Enrique does.
Okay.
So I need to call Joyce first, so to get the
Yeah,
contacts.
and just invite them to get somebody. to
Or
contribute.
as staff, we can provide you with their contact information.
Okay, that would be great.
Sure.
Then you want a representative from your HOA to join this.
Should you join this committee, yes, just so we can round it out,
and
include other
perspectives, yeah.
participants from the other side of the bridge.
Yep.
And Scott, you're gonna contact Anthem,
Mhm.
get some updates and stuff.
Yeah, and then, we can run some calculations based on the capacity that's embedded in that plan that we've got. And see, if it runs constantly at roughly 20%, which allows for things like fog and night and that kind of stuff. Because it has a definite generation capacity in it per hour. So we'll see how much that generates in that on a monthly basis, and if that generates a substantial amount, then we won't have to add any more. But we wanna and then we wanna plan for a city hall, so I will not be here for the 19th, I'll be in Hawaii.
Okay, well, I can, that's on my phone, but I should be here, so I can present it.
Okay. So we'll know about what we're gonna ask for, what we'd like to ask for that, and we really just want city hall, the city council to authorize the second application. And I think when I went through, we had everything except the construction schedule, so I think we've got enough to write the grant applications. And we can size the design to our intent, because it's just literally scalable. And they gave us the requirements, there was four city-owned facilities, were in the current requirements, we already have those in the preliminary data. They went through and calculated the peak and average load for city hall, community center, water treatment, and sewage, wastewater. So So we have those, and so we could size. We could do a quick calculation with size, and maybe we do a wastewater treatment plant. I would do that before the water treatment plant, because like I said, the water treatment plant's gonna be redesigned here soon. So we want to include that in this construction of that rather than a grant. Because they'll get other grant money for that. You know when that's gonna happen? It's,
I think right now the city's looking at doing a facilities plan.
we wouldn't wanna
For
modify that, it's like,
would be,
I'm gonna rebuild the house in 6 months or 6 years or a year, but do I remodel the bathroom an hour away? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that all I know at this point is that we are looking at doing a facilities plan.
Alright, well, let's work to include.
Beyond just our water and.
So our recommendation to that, where we're doing that would be to include backup fuel cell in that plan rather than separate. So that would be something that we would recommend to the city.
And I'm not sure if our AKS engineering is going to be preparing that or whether we're gonna be going outside of that work.
Okay. And then, all right. I'll have to, print out the drawings and start carrying with me. Because it's a matter of, real rough calculation as to how big, how many fuel cells we need to run a community center versus, I think it's less than City Hall. So I think one would do it. They got 3 per. I think they're only doing 2 with a third one optional for City Hall in their plan. 2 would certainly be enough for community center. And Adam says we don't have to go through BWR to get them, we can get them elsewhere.
Oh.
Because he says BWR is sort of preoccupied as a company, and they're an integrator, they're not a deal builder. So we can get the fuel cells and electrolyzers separately.
Can we get a copy of the phase 1 final report that was submitted to the state? Do you have that or?
I will look and see if it's in the shared drive.
I have that, I can send it.
You have it?
I got it because the resilience committee got a copy.
The one that was just submitted?
The one that Athens, the final report that Athens did for the grant, yeah.
Yeah.
We all got a copy of that, and I can send that.
Oh,
to
they
you.
did, okay.
Um,
Yeah, if you said that, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
It's my email.
Did you get a note from me about preference for reading time?
No.
Okay, I
I
didn't.
might have gone to spam.
Scott, can you send that to me and I will send it to them just because it's their communication.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I will do that. Any other business? This is gonna be a quick meeting because we only had 2 items. Hearing none.
No, but if you have specific study topics or whatever, that you want one of us to look into before the next meeting, that's legit to do via email, right? Without doing.
Yeah, I think for the next meeting, I'll have, whether I formally prepare them or not, I will have calculations for how many fuel cells are required for each of the sites. Just rough numbers, and then how much hydrogen that would generate, or would you require for a 3-week supply, which is our plan for backup, for each location, and then what are constantly running, how big a constantly running generation station would have to be to supply that on an average basis, because you have to decide your fuel cell for peak usage and decide your hydrogen generation for average, so it's a kind of a big thing.
Have you selected a generation site? Where is it gonna be at City Hall or?
Well,
Where to store the hydrogen?
the initial
And
plan,
transport
the initial
the
plan
hydrogen?
for City Hall and the drawings we got and the plan we got from the planning grant was to a 20-foot container with fuel cells, tanks, and electrolyzer in it,
Oh, okay,
with solar on its roof,
okay,
and maybe a wind turbine. But I think they use solar.
and that's just here in the.
That would be just out there in the back
Parking
of the parking lot. There's some complaints about having a white container out there, but, and then the city has this thing about murals. Cause you can paint it, but.
So then what happens when you generate more than what you have storage for?
So there will be 3 active tanks and 3 spare tanks. And if you generate more than you have storage for, you just quit generating.
Okay.
You just turn it off. Disconnect the wind turbine from the electrolyzer, or the solar cells from the electrolyzer. Now there's a.
So in the event of a disaster and you can't get the hydrogen from here over the bridge, don't you need to store hydrogen in other areas?
All I need is a boat. We
Are
can
you
easily transport stuff
Okay,
across the gap in a Zodiac.
Okay.
If we had to, and we do want generation on both sides of the bridge,
or
eventually.
or storage at least.
You know, in the long run, we wanna be able to generate, we wanna have a couple of megawatts of generation capacity to generate, hydrogen to supply most of the town. I mean, as private people start, there's gonna be, you know, that's another thing too, is that if the city has excess generation capacity, what we do with the excess hydrogen, we can sell it.
Right.
And we could sell it, because right now, it's $14 a kilogram from California, or 14, I'm not sure what it is, but if we could sell it for 5, or some number, and that would require city council action to authorize as a utility, so that would be part of the water system. Pay by usage, and you can charge by the kilowatt hour, you can charge by the kilogram, or you can charge by the tank. And that could also do a private business that way. Does the city want to get into its own maintenance of generation facilities,
Down the line, yeah.
down the road, or do we want a private company?
Hydrogen charter costs. Not have a fueling issue with the topic.
Long term.
Very long term.
Yeah, no, that generating hydrogen is easy. And it can be done in small locations spread around, so you don't have to have this giant, but each one has got certain requirements, because you have to have property, you have to have
Or at
security.
least store it on the other side of the bridge, so that
Store it
people
on the
have
side of the
access.
bridge. Yeah, I mean, we could
I mean,
store
once
some in
it's
the little
generated.
cove.
Right.
Cause we're gonna use it for our, cause we can use the same design, put in fuel cells for our community center. And then we can store some over there.
Yeah, and, you know, same thing with, you with the Bay or somebody else.
Right, you just need the fuel
I mean,
cell.
any of the 5 islands that are identified in the city's evacuation plan, I think, are candidates.
So there's 5 generation stations minimum.
Well, you don't have to generate there, then you can just store it and have the,
Well,
I mean, if you
wanna
there's
generate-
5 locations for fuel cells,
Yes,
other than.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna generate it in a limit your tank size and so forth, so you can use a quad cycle to get it around if you had to. That's about the only thing that's gonna work, if roads go up. So you wanna be able to haul a small tank around to move it around if you need to, but you don't wanna move it very far. So if we had 5 generation stations eventually, then that would be
well, if we're gonna
fine.
go for the $1 million, but on the plan, go for the,
But, depending on what Athens decided out for the original city hall generation facility, maybe we look at upgrading the sizing of that, and then just focus on one generating facility for the near term.
We could also get a
With
planning
5
grant for a generation facility.
Hydrogen cells itself, and then the city supplies those sites, however many there turn out to be. And then as needed, we've got the design and everything we need to, outfit more generating facilities. I mean, it's just, we gotta see what the numbers.
The other thing is that we don't have a time
Guide us on
crunch.
that. I think they could probably help us.
Yeah.
Guide us on that.
We had 1 generation facility right now and 2 or 3 and we're just using it for spare, we've got a year to get more generation capacity done, so we don't have to work on this. But we could also apply for a new planning grant for a generation facility design. Let's say 200 kilowatts. What would that look like?
Yeah.
So planning grant for City Hall, Community Center, and the generation facility?
Well, City Hall's got one, so we've got a design for City Hall, so we've got a construction grant to go with that. We can take part of that and implement the fuel cell part at Community Center. So that's the second construction grant. And then we can apply for a planning grant for just a pure generation facility. And
Well, it depends, you know, we can see how scalable the design is that after it comes up for the one at City Hall. If we could easily upgrade that to be double or triple what City Hall requires, then maybe we don't need that separate planning grant.
that's true.
And that, to me, would be preferable, because, you know, you wanna kind of centralize the generation capability, at least initially, and maybe build it bigger than what facilities needs, so that we are able then, through the second construction grant, to add 2 or 3 or 4 other facilities with just the fuel cells. And then the first grant provides the hydrogen for all the fuel cells. I think that makes more sense logistically.
Because there's less to maintain, you know,
And
just.
it improves the scalability of the design.
Yeah, we could either do exact duplicate of both generation and usage at Community Center using the existing plan, or we could just expand part of the plan and only make part of it. Either one of those would work. So the City Hall generation station would be for south of the bridge, then we need one north of the bridge. And the ideal place for that is Depoe Hills.
Because it's up out of the snow zone.
It's up in the wind.
And you get the wind, and the solar.
And solar. So, and, you know, 20-foot container up there with just electrolyzer. Would fill the whole thing with electrolyzers and, you know, you could generate a lot of hydrogen.
Carla, who's the developer for Depoe Hills? Did somebody take over for Placati, or is it still him, or? Just company?
Daddy's not involved, no. The main person is Chris Vanderbilt, he's the managing partner. And they own, there's 2 developments there. The lower section is Well Watch, which they purchased from another developer. And then there's the hills of Depoe Bay, which begins about where you see most of the housing, just beyond that. Then it's the hills of Depoe Bay.
And I think that probably should be correct.
So it's all one developer now, developing both those
That's this Chris
kind of
Van,
developments.
Chris somebody or other?
Yes.
You said?
Vanderbilt, he's the main face, if you will, of the development.
Could you send me his contact information, please?
Sure.
I'm gonna reach out to him. If he's the developer, maybe we can talk to him about setting aside some common area up there for a hydrogen generation facility that would benefit his subdivision or his development. Can't hurt. I know.
Right.
I mean,
They
just,
were without,
and, you know, Little Well Cove is willing to consider that too on our common property. We've got 4 acres right off Highway 101 at the entrance that would be suitable, I think, for a generation facility.
Now, my take on that would be, that would probably want to be private, both of those.
Would be what?
Privately owned rather than, and probably commercially operated rather than city owned, I think. But
Could be, yeah.
we can always bring it up and the city can decide they want to do it.
oh, it depends if they want to invest in it or not.
Yeah, well, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just gonna talk to Chris, because if we need a generation capability north of the bridge, I
Yeah.
mean, that to me would be an ideal place. Because it's both very suitable and, we'd have the whole north side covered that way.
Is that 3 words, his last name?
Vander,
Kind of squished together the last name, yeah.
what's the last part of it, Vander?
And
Veld.
Veld?
yeah, I'll send you his name plus the project manager.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Contact information.
Does the public have any comment?
What was that?
Does the public have any comment?
No.
Who's the liaison officer? Do we have one?
Liaison to what?
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
don't know, it's not item I on the
Your city
agenda.
council, that's the person that attends the council meeting and provides the report to the council.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as the liaison of the city council. They make you say things, and then you get in trouble for saying things.
Oh, he's Scott's not here.
Usually it Usually the amongst the membership or the vice chair.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll cover the 19 August meeting. We'll go from there.
Normally I'll do it, but yeah, Paul can do it.
You don't wanna Zoom? I'm Hawaii.
I'm 3 hours behind,
Oh.
so it'd be like dealing with the
In
East
the middle
Coast.
of the afternoon.
Dealing with the East Coast or Hawaii is just not fun. You must be talking Europe. So, no, I mean, when I get to Hawaii, the first thing I do is buy a bottle, the lower run. Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns, issues? We don't have any controversy yet. We haven't started digging holes.
But it's early,
Yeah, that'll come.
early days.
All right,
Digging
Thank
holes
you
or
for
cutting
coming.
trees.
our next meeting is, the official meeting is 1 o'clock on the 4th Monday of August.
25th of August is the fourth Monday.
Okay. And hopefully we'll have a couple of new members by then, because that also needs to be approved by city council.
They have to go to council.
Yeah, they don't have to go to council, fill out the application and sit for city council like we did.
I can even pick up some applications and hand them, take them to them, because it's kind of hard to find on the website.
Yeah,
Manually take them in applications.
okay. All right, thank you, adjourned to.